Good evening, everybody. Welcome to part 5 of the Revell 196th scale CSS Alabama build. Lots been done, so why don't we get right to it. All right, as I come on in, the hull is done, and I've replaced some of the mast parts. I've used real wood here. What I've done is gotten these skewers, carved in the shape, and painted them. This particular piece, I'll show you here, is for the bowsprit. That'll go right there. And I've done that just because I'm pushing on it now and it doesn't bend. The kit parts are very soft plastic. Make it very hard to rig the ship without bending the plastic, and then it wouldn't look right. Why don't we go to the deck first and show you that. If I can get to it here without casting a shadow. Okay, the ScaleDecks.com wood deck is in. I used Gorilla Glue for that, just a very thin layer, and a soft cloth to push out any buildup of glue and any air bubbles. Deck furniture. These are the sweeps, and that is photo etch, and that's from the ScaleDecks.com package that you get when you get the deck. You get these photo etch sweeps as well. Another neat thing that they have, and I'll show you where this will go in a little bit. This is a photo etch piece, a nameplate. What I've done with that is I painted it gloss black, let it really dry well, and then I sanded it down so you can just see the name. I'll show you where that'll go in just a little bit. With the rest of the deck, most of these pieces were either modified or scratch built. As mentioned in previous videos, the deck furniture supplied with the Revell kit were for other ships or just made up. They didn't do a whole lot of research into the Alabama. So getting started, anchor chains, again, I'll just have those nice and neat once everything's said and done. This is the galley. Let me zoom in a little bit. See if I can keep it in focus for you guys. That's a modified kit piece. That's the galley. Foremast, that's in just temporarily, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. Binnacle pieces to manipulate the anchor and the anchor chain. Moving aft, this is the access way for the crew quarters, and a hatch, a removable hatch just to put supplies in. Vents and removable hatches for the engine room. Forward guns, these were mainly guns used by the ship's captain to fire a warning shot to any ships they are overtaking. The forward main gun, a rifle gun, very long range gun. Not really designed to shoot at merchant ships. It would just basically take out a small boat in one or two shots, but if they were ever engaged with another warship, that weapon there was designed to fight off another warship. The bridge is in. On either side of the bridge are navigation lights. The Revell kit had you put them up here, but that's wrong. They were on either side of the bridge, and I modified them per the plans from the books I've been reading. Going aft now. More vents for the engine room. Skylight for the engine room. This is the after smoothbore gun. I'm going to see how close I can get here and get it focused for you. There we go. The plans I saw in the photos, I've been able to see the carriage was gloss black, and so was the gun. But just as you can see, it's a little bit different shade there. I painted the guns basically gloss black, and then I polished on a layer of gunmetal just to differentiate that a little bit, just to add a little bit of interest. This is the access way for the officers' quarters. Let's see if I can get the light angle right and show this to you. Here is the helm of the ship right there. Moving aft, this is the access way for the captain's quarters. As I mentioned in previous videos, somewhat of a best guess here. The very few photos I've seen of the aft end of the deck is not very clear. So this is my best guess as to what it looked like at the aft end of the ship. As you can see, gun sweeps also on the aft end of the ship. These were installed on the actual CSS Alabama, but a gun was never installed there. Let's go to the outside of the hull. Outside the hull is done. And here's what the aft end of the ship looks like. What you see here was open on the kit, but that was just a facade on the real ship, so I used some very thin strip base wood for that and sanded it down to make it look or match according to the plans that I have. The weathering on the side of the ship is done, where I had to sand some of this detail smooth. I've just taken a straight edge and an X-Acto knife and carved in the panel, or not the panel lines. I'm used to building aircraft models, the wood lines. You see some of the holes there. That's where the capstans will go for the boats once they're installed. The gun ports and the scuppers are all in and accurate. External supports for the rigging are there. Maybe a little bit of dry brushing once the rigging is in. That is the entranceway for crew and any captured passengers or crew of American ships. And you see that's on both sides. There was a gun port here, but no guns were right there. Okay, moving forward, there is the gun port for the forward main gun with a drained scupper underneath. External supports for the rigging. And these forward gun ports, every photo I've seen showed them closed, so I've tried to simulate that here. And I don't know how well that shows up, but there you go. The anchor chain is in. I'm going to move my light around, see if I can get a little bit better light for you guys. Okay, the copper part. The copper is painted, as you can see. I used a green wash on the copper to simulate some weathering. The Revell kit had the bootstrap here as a very thick red. The plans and descriptions of the ship show that as a very thin metallic color, and that's what I've tried to simulate here. And that green may not show up very well with all the lights on it, but it really does look good. So there's the hull completed. A few things that are issues. The masts at the moment are in temporarily. There were fore and aft sails, and I have rings for the aftermast. However, and I got those at Hobby Lobby, and they fit great for the after, but for the main and foremast, the rings that were for sale were either too small or way too big, so that's something I have to solve. Kind of moving back here, a very good friend of mine, master wood maker, built this stand for me, and he said it's really nice. Here again is that CSS Alabama nameplate, and that will go on here somewhere. Not sure where yet, but we'll probably put that centered up. I imagine it'll look about right. This, of course, will be a simulated water here that the ship will be sailing in. So far, what I've done is just to use a couple of spare pieces of this 2-inch this 2-inch insulation. And let me get a better angle on it. As you can see, it's a little bit higher than the case, which is what I wanted. And my plan is we'll have a sheet that will be down here, second sheet on top. And that's where I'll use spackle and carving to get the basic form of the water. From there, I'll use various acrylics and just clear gloss type materials to paint up the water. Right now, I'm thinking somewhat of a greenish tint to the water. I think would look really neat. As far as cleaning goes, which is huge, I'll show you this for a second. I built this USS Constitution some years ago, and I just had the ship glued to a hunk of wood and a little bit of paint on it, and that has been always very difficult to clean. So my plan is this upper piece will be removable, It'll be carved out for the ship to rest in. But this piece will come out for cleaning, and the ship itself will just rest in that carve out portion of that insulation, and I'll be able to remove the ship as well for periodic cleaning. Again, I found that, I think that'll be a great time saver. So next steps, we'll get started with the rigging and the Revell plans, and again what the real actual plans are two different setups. So I'll be going with the actual plans for the rigging as best I can, given some limitations of the kit, but it should be awful close. Still have to order sails once I figure out that ring situation or solution to that. That is about it for now. Thanks again for watching, and I'll just do a teaser and do a pan around of my man cave. Thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you all in part 6.